week we told you about how to keep your relationship afloat. We told you some of those tips that you need to keep your marriage in a blissful situation all through. And we started discussing the role that romance is supposed to play, and then we actually dealt with all of that. Thanks for coming, Kenneth.
It's a pleasure, Ryan. I'm glad to be here again today.
Always a pleasure having you, and knowing that we're going to be talking about how to keep people staying together.
Yeah, it is very important because when you look at the number of marriages that are hitting the rock today, it is really leaves so much to be desired. So
the pressures are immense.
Yeah, the pressures are quite immense, and we really need to learn how to put things together so that the sanity of marriage and the home is at least preserved.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's come back briefly to, just a recap of what we said last week on romance. Remember you saying you need to take your spouse, right? Take them to those trees, under the trees in the evening. Have a walk and let her call you darling and you call her baby or something.
Yeah, within the context of marriage, even at 55, 60, even 70, the appellation baby is still permitted. So there's no need thinking that the couple is too old to call themselves those names.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to be moving on and finding out expectations today, because sometimes it counts a big deal.
Seriously, because you know, when everybody is going into marriage, at least he or she has some expectations. During premarital counseling, we used to ask, what are your expectations getting married in the first place, and then getting married to this particular person? And this particular question is always very capital and important to me, because it is so telling of many things.
You might be running in to get the money.
Sure.
Some may be running in for the luxury home, the luxury cars.
Some want to just get the big name that the spouse has made so that they can come under it. Some some want to, have the economic situation of their family ameliorated. Some go in so that they at least so that they can escape singlehood. Those are all negative motives for getting married. And when people finally get married, there are things they also keep expecting from their spouse. And we said from the onset that during this time where couples are mostly together at home due to the confinement measures, which were proposed by the World Health Organizations as a means to keep in check this COVID-19, we said couples will be often spending a lot of time together.
Yes.
And they must put some of these things into perspective so that their marriages do not rather tear apart. Yeah, so one of these things is expectations. Like in all social relationships, it is always good to culture your expectations from one another. One of the first things you must know is that even God does not meet everybody's expectations. So you don't expect your spouse or the marriage you are in to meet your expectations 100%.
Okay.
When you don't come to terms with this, one of the frustrations that you start having is that you think you are not, in fact, you married wrongly, which is not necessarily the case. So when you run with the mindset that not all your expectations will be met, at least it helps you create a margin of they used to talk in statistics, a margin of safety or something, but you create a margin within you that, okay, at least if it is up to this percentage, it is feasible. But if you think your spiritual expectations will be met, your emotional expectations, your financial expectations, and so on, you end up having a bleeding heart because you will not have them met as you
are these issues that, during premarital counseling, you need to sit down and talk them out?
Exactly. Expectations is one of the serious issues we handle during premarital counseling. Yes, when you ask...
I'm just looking at that young lady who is, dying to get married to this young, handsome guy. And the guy tells her up front, please, don't expect me to build that beautiful home for you. That's like sending the lady away.
Well, that will be... It will also be... That will be the language of somebody who is not ready to marry. Yeah. Essentially what we're saying is that You know, when Jesus Christ came and met his disciples who were supposed to be praying, they were rather sleeping, he made a statement. He said, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Okay. There are times somebody will, you read it, this person is really desirous of putting in his best bet, or somebody puts it this way, that the tortoise is like boxing, but his hands are short. So if you see somebody who is putting in his or her best to be able to, you know, keep his or her spouse at least at ease, it is good. The problem comes in when there are unreasonable expectations.
All right.
Yeah, when expectations are
unreasonable.
Yes. Yeah, that's one of the things that lays the foundation for frustration. When the expectations are unreasonable, you can be very sure that your spouse won't be able to meet these expectations. And when your spouse can't meet these expectations, you start feeling frustrated, of which the problem is not with your spouse, but with you.
Okay.
And what are some of the factors that make some expectations unreasonable?
Right.
One, when they are built on unhealthy competition. In life, it is permitted for you to draw inspiration from other people. Yeah, you can see a couple and you enjoy the way the couple is, you know, the couple lives. You enjoy how they are moving along. You can draw inspiration from that. But if you think your marriage must be the same like that one, there is a problem already.
All right.
Because there are people you see out there, you don't know what they go through in the closet. And to see maybe a married woman, I want to talk a bit to the women. A married woman driving a very big car, always dressing too much, and always, you know, good handbags and all the like. That is not all that there is to a good marriage. The person may be like that, but with a very huge emotional vacuum back in her marriage. Okay. So if you just go and pick out this factor, and for you it is about the best marriage, it's a modern marriage for you, you will be running on a very, very wrong and dangerous lane for your own marriage. But when it's like that, you look at, you draw inspiration from them, and you build your own marriage piecemeal, gradually, to at least get to where you can be. Every marriage must never be the same. Okay. Relationships have their peculiarities. So the first thing that makes expectations unreasonable is unhealthy competition. Right. Yeah, there are some people who think their marriage is even supposed to be better than this person because she was not as beautiful as she herself. She was not as brilliant, so she thinks she should have had a better marriage. But if life were on a straight line like we usually take sometimes, at least it would be different. Right. Then one of the
I like it when some mentor of mine once said, hang your boots where you can be able to take them down easily, because if you place them too high, when the referee blasts the whistle for the kickoff, you will not be part of the starting 11. Exactly not. So know where your limits are.
Know your limits.
Right.
Yeah. And then one of the things that will make expectations unreasonable is ignoring the present realities. There are realities at a particular time T. If at a particular time T, your relationship permits that you can only live in a house that costs this much, better comply.
Right.
If your spouse can provide only this much, comply. It will be unreasonable for maybe during this moment where people are being put on technical leave or maybe being laid off in total from their jobs. Right. And a woman or a man, it goes either way. You are still mounting pressure on your spouse for this kind of thing, or for some kind of ostentatious living. It will be unreasonable, because it might have been possible if the realities were otherwise.
All right.
But where we are now, the situation is the way it is. And I think I had followed a movie, a short drama on CRTV, Bossing the Boss or something, if I remember the title. Yes, where a couple, the woman is the boss to the man. So when they leave home, when they get to the office, the man is under the pressure of the woman, and the woman comes back home and is under the pressure of the man. So yeah. So why am I saying this? I'm saying to say that there are things which you must face as the realities on hand. When you face them, they will help you to, readjust your expectations. You don't think your husband should, at this time where maybe his salary has been slashed by 30%, he should still keep giving the 10,000 per day for food money as he used to do.
Right.
There is a reality on hand, which if you don't take it, your expectations would be unreasonable, and it is going to put you under frustration.
Okay.
And the next thing you will say is he doesn't care. Maybe he's giving this money to the money to another lady somewhere, and so on and so forth.
Of course, it's true that you probably will not want to eat rice every day as a result of the new crisis, right? There's a new economic crisis within this context. But then accept to even eat rice today and okra soup tomorrow. You know, it's not every day ekwang and every kind of meat in there, no. So there are times like this, and that's the conclusion I draw from what you just said.
Sure.
You need to be able to be rational in the way you expect your husband to provide for the home at this point in time. You need to be rational in the demands that you make. Don't go asking him for Brazilian hair when it's absolutely not necessary at this point in time.
Exactly. And it even goes to some of the people from our viewers who watch this foreign series and they want their marriage to, you know, have a clone of, you know, some of those things. They use a lot of hyperbole in acting them, so they make some people think that that's how your husband should treat you with the same emotional. You know, emotional deliveries. It can't.
Marriage is not a movie. You're not
it's
acting.
not.
This is real.
It's not. It's not a movie. And at times you even see some people. Some people make it so so heavy on their spouses that you see, especially some men. I want to say this. Some men are really. They're not. They don't help their wives. She gets up. She has the kids to cater for. She has even you to cater for, and maybe you return. She's been busy. Maybe she's a working class woman. She comes back. She has to settle home. She has kitchen chores to do. She has maybe one or two things to do, and it is maybe about 9 p.m. The food is not ready. You are with the remote control, stretch your legs, and you are sighing and sighing. You know, you see, that would be unreasonable.
It is.
Yes, because. If you are not looking at things from a rational perspective. If you think supper should be ready as fast as possible, you don't have immunity to enter the kitchen. You should partake in one way or the other. So if it is, you should not, like you know, make the whole thing look like the woman is a problem in one way or the other. Yeah.
So there's obviously a third one.
Yes, one of the issues that will make expectations unreasonable will be when you as an individual, you are not sensitive to the emotions of your spouse. There are times that you can never expect in a relationship for people to be on the same footing all the time.
All right.
When your spouse is not in the mood for certain things, marriage has to do with building a support system one for another. When your spouse can't deliver the way he or she delivers often in one way or the other, because some come with pressures from work, some come with pressures, and you know, women, they have these mood swings. It can be periods of the month where they are,
it's always undulating.
Yeah, it's
Up,
undulated
down,
actually.
up,
So there are times when it's like that. You just need to know how to, you know, act as a support. You can't act as a support to your spouse. At that time, you will be feeling, you'll be pushing the person to stretch too much. Because in general, in a relationship, one thing that makes people unable to meet the expectations of their spouses is that each and every one of us has an elastic limit. You have an elastic limit, a financial elastic limit. You have an emotional elastic limit, and so on and so forth. If the person can only afford to a certain extent, you can, you know, see how to adjust, the shift in paradigm, to adjust and meet up with that person and gradually build the person with you and him to go up. When you take a rubber and you pull beyond its elastic limit, it's going to rupture.
Right.
That is it. And it's the same thing. Some people are so frustrated in relationships because they have operated up to their elastic limit and they are being stretched.
Okay.
And one thing I just want to say is, gone are the days that the mindset of provision in the home being a man's absolute responsibility, was being upheld. That is not the current or the actual state of things. We have women out here now who have secret bank accounts to the tune of millions, and everything is about the husband. Everything they're looking at.
Some
the husband.
actually own houses,
rents, sure,
behind the backs of their spouse.
Behind the spouse is not aware. So when you do that, not only are you on a very bad footing. I'm not saying that men should not take responsibility, but what is there is that it is shared. It's supposed to be shared to make it, enjoyable, to make it a home indeed. One thing even that we forget often is when you have signed joint property ownership, you can sell your car as my husband, and I oppose that sale despite the fact that it was in your name. The sale can be opposed. Those are some of the things people don't know, and that is why we encourage that. The idea of building personal empires when you've gotten married is of no use. Try to see that you people run everything together. You can buy, if you got, let's say, a piece of land when we are already married, and along the line you sell it, your spouse can oppose the sale because he's due at least 50% of it. So with that, it should make people to really go beyond these selfish tendencies that will cause them to be trying to build a personal empire in the background, and the spouse is languishing. Your husband can only do as much, and you are under pressure. You're pressurizing him that he must, and he must. It is not a fair mindset.
All right. One thing I drew from the last things you said was that if she's not ready for bed, don't force her to bed. You got it? That's when you break the elastic limit, right?
But people should also try to know their responsibility, so that if you know you can't live to that responsibility, it's from a genuine, perspective. Yes, because if not, Operation Sparrowhawk can be catching some people for doing what they are not supposed to do.
I'll never thank you enough for coming. That was just so cool, and I think those who have ears should have heard, right? You don't just listen to hear, and when you hear, it sinks down, and you put it into practice, and your marriage becomes a blissful one. There's a book I have here. I've been telling you about it for months and months now. The new copies are out already. It is titled Effective Conflict Management in Marital Relationships. It tells you about how to avoid divorce and how to make your marriage happy ever after and up until the end. Only 3,000 CFA francs. If you want a copy, get in touch with us. I will tell you how to get in touch with him. That's Kenneth TATOH, the author of the book. It's just part of a series, right? There are more to come. There have been more already, but this one is particularly prescribed, especially if you don't find the way forward for your marriage, or if you're still dancing about who to choose and who not to choose to spend the rest of your life with. Thank you sincerely for being here.
My pleasure. I want to encourage our viewers that since Labor Day celebrations have been kept on hold, they can use today to labor for their homes, time for reflection, and spend time as family together. It must not always be euphoria all the time. Thanks so much, and happy weekend.
Thanks for the advice, and as usual, I take our greetings home and to everybody around you.